The stagecoach lurched to a stop in front of the dusty main street of Eldorado Canyon, Nevada, and Diana Everhart stepped down with nothing but a worn carpetbag and secrets that could get her killed. It was August 1876, and the desert heat hit her like a wall of fire as her boots touched the sun-baked earth. She had traveled 3 weeks from Philadelphia, changing her name twice, dyeing her dark blonde hair darker, and praying that every mile put between her and Thomas Whitmore would be enough to keep her breathing. The bruise on her ribs had finally faded to a sickly yellow, hidden beneath the high-necked traveling dress that was far too heavy for this climate. But Diana had learned that survival meant suffering discomfort, and she would gladly sweat through every layer if it meant staying invisible. Eldorado Canyon was smaller than she had imagined, a rough mining town carved into the rocky terrain where the Colorado River cut through the desert. Wooden buildings with false fronts lined the main street, and she could see the massive stamp mill in the distance, its constant pounding like a heartbeat that never stopped. Men covered in dust moved between the saloons and supply stores, their eyes tracking her movement with curiosity. Respectable women were scarce here, and Diana knew she would need to find work quickly before assumptions were made about her character. She walked toward what appeared to be a general store, her legs unsteady after so long sitting in the cramped coach. The proprietor, a weathered woman with silver streaking her brown hair, looked up from her ledger with sharp eyes that took in everything. The quality of Diana's dress despite the dust, the way she carried herself, the absence of a wedding ring despite her age. "Help you, miss?" The woman asked, her tone neither friendly nor unfriendly. "I am looking for work," Diana said, keeping her voice steady. "I have experience with bookkeeping, sewing, teaching children, anything honest." The woman's expression softened slightly. "Running from something or someone." Diana's heart hammered, but she met the woman's gaze directly. "Does it matter if I work hard and cause no trouble?" A small smile crossed the woman's lined face. "I suppose it does not. I am Martha Reynolds. My husband runs this store, and we have been needing someone who can handle the books and help with inventory. The mining office keeps records that would make a saint weep. Can you start tomorrow?" Relief flooded through Diana so powerfully she felt dizzy. "Yes, thank you. There is a boarding house 2 streets over run by Mrs. Chen. Clean rooms, fair prices. Tell her I sent you." Martha paused, studying Diana more closely. "What name should I put in my ledger, Diana?" "Diana Everhart." Martha nodded slowly, as if recognizing the newness of the name but choosing not to comment. "Welcome to Eldorado Canyon, Miss Everhart. It is not much, but people mostly mind their own business here. That might suit you." Diana spent her first night in a small room that smelled of lye soap and desert dust, lying awake despite her exhaustion, listening to the unfamiliar sounds of this frontier town. The stamp mill never stopped. Somewhere down the street, a piano played off-key melodies, and men's laughter drifted through her window. She thought of Philadelphia, of the grand house where she had worked as a governess, of Thomas Whitmore's promises that had turned to threats, of the night she had finally understood he would never let her leave alive. She had saved every penny for 2 years, hidden in the false bottom of her trunk. When Thomas had struck her hard enough to crack a rib, when he had locked her in her room and told her she belonged to him now, she had known it was time. The cook had helped her escape through the servant's entrance, had given her the name of her cousin in St. Louis who could help her disappear. Diana had left everything behind except her life. Now, staring at the rough wooden ceiling of her new room, she made a promise to herself. She would build something here, something real, something that was hers. The next morning she reported to the general store at dawn. Martha set her up at a desk in the back room with months of disorganized receipts and invoices. The work was tedious, but Diana found comfort in the orderliness of numbers, the way columns could be balanced and made to make sense. By noon, she had created a new system that would make monthly accounting manageable. She was so absorbed in her work that she did not notice the man who entered the back room until he spoke. Martha said we hired someone who could actually read and write. Did not mention she was pretty enough to stop a man's heart. Diana's head snapped up, her body automatically tensing for flight or fight. But the man standing in the doorway had his hat in his hands, his expression sheepish rather than threatening. He was tall and lean, with sun-darkened skin and light brown hair that needed cutting. His eyes were a startling blue-green, like the river she had glimpsed from the stagecoach, and his smile was warm but not presumptuous. "I apologize, miss. That came out wrong. I am Cole Mitchell. I run a small ranch about 5 miles north of town. I bring supplies to the store once a week and pick up feed and equipment." He shifted his weight, looking genuinely uncomfortable. "What I meant to say was, it is nice to meet you and welcome to Eldorado Canyon." Diana found herself relaxing slightly. There was something genuine in his awkwardness, something that seemed honest. "Diana Everhart, and thank you. You are new to Nevada?" Cole asked, not moving further into the room as if respecting her space. "Very new. I arrived yesterday." "From back east, by the sound of your voice." Diana stiffened again, and Cole immediately raised his hands in a placating gesture. "Not prying, I promise. Just making conversation. Lord knows I am terrible at it. My ranch hands tell me I am better with horses than people." That self-deprecating smile again. They are probably right. Despite herself, Diana felt the corner of her mouth twitch. "I imagine horses are less complicated." "You have no idea," Cole said with feeling. "A horse wants food, water, exercise, and a kind hand. People want all sorts of things I can never figure out." Martha appeared in the doorway behind Cole. "Stop bothering my new bookkeeper, Cole Mitchell. Your order is ready at the loading dock." "Yes, madam," Cole said, putting his hat back on. He nodded to Diana. "Nice meeting you, Miss Everhart. I hope Eldorado Canyon treats you well." As he left, Martha shook her head with a fond smile. "That boy has been running that ranch single-handedly since his father died 3 years ago. 26 years old and works harder than any 2 men. Good heart, too. Never cheated anyone, always pays his debts, helps neighbors when they need it." Diana bent back to her ledgers, telling herself that Cole Mitchell's kind eyes and honest smile were none of her concern. She was here to disappear, to survive, not to get entangled with cowboys no matter how genuine they seemed. She had learned the hard way that men's kindness could curdle into possession, that smiles could turn to sneers. But over the following weeks, as August burned into September and the desert heat remained relentless, Diana found herself looking up every time the bell over the store's door chimed. Cole came to town twice a week, always polite, always respectful. He would chat briefly with Martha, collect his supplies, and occasionally stop by the back room to say hello to Diana. "How are you settling in?" he asked one morning in early September, leaning against the door frame but never crossing the threshold without invitation. "Well enough," Diana said, finishing a calculation before looking up. "Mrs. Reynolds has been very kind. Martha is good people. So is her husband Robert, though he is quieter." Cole hesitated. "Have you seen much of the area? The canyon itself is worth seeing if you like dramatic scenery." "I have not had much opportunity. My work keeps me occupied." "Sure, of course." Cole turned his hat in his hands, a habit Diana had noticed when he was thinking. "It is just, there is a spot about a mile upriver where the canyon walls turn red at sunset. Most beautiful thing I have ever seen. I ride out there sometimes when the ranch work gets overwhelming, just to remember there is more to life than fixing fences and breaking horses." Diana studied him carefully, searching for hidden motives, for the manipulation she had learned to expect. But Cole just looked earnest and perhaps a little hopeful. "Are you inviting me to see this spot, Mr. Mitchell?" "Cole, and yes, I suppose I am, but only if you want to. I know you are new to town and probably do not know who to trust yet. Martha could vouch for me if that helps, or Mrs. Chen, or Reverend Matthews at the church, or pretty much anyone in town, actually." He smiled ruefully. "I am embarrassingly respectable." Despite her caution, Deanna laughed. It surprised her, the sound rusty from disuse. "I will think about it." "That is fair," Cole said, nodding. "The offer stands whenever you are ready." He did not press, did not show up more often or try to force the issue. That, more than anything, began to soften Deanna's guard. A man like Thomas would have demanded, would have manipulated, would have found ways to corner her into compliance. Cole simply continued his routine, friendly but not pushy, present but not intrusive. It was Martha who finally pushed the issue. On a Saturday afternoon in late September, she shooed Deanna out from behind the desk. "You have been working 6 days a week for almost 2 months. Take tomorrow off. Go to church if you are religious, or take a walk, or accept Cole's invitation to see the canyon. But get out of this back room before you forget what sunshine feels like." "I am fine," Deanna protested. "I enjoy the work. And you are good at it. Best bookkeeper we have ever had." "But even good workers need rest." Martha's expression softened. "Whatever you left behind, honey, it cannot follow you if you let yourself live a little. Being alive is not the same as living." The words struck deep, and Deanna found herself blinking back unexpected tears. Martha patted her shoulder awkwardly. "Cole is a good man, one of the best I have known. I am not saying you need to marry him or anything foolish like that, but a ride to see the sunset would not kill you, and if he tries anything improper, which he would not, you have my permission to shoot him." Deanna laughed, watery but genuine. "I do not have a gun." "Then we will get you one. Every woman in Nevada should know how to shoot." Martha winked. "But you would not need it with Cole." The next day was Sunday, and Diana had developed the habit of attending the small church service, partly for respectability and partly because it filled the empty hours. Cole was usually there, sitting near the back, always nodding respectfully to her but never presuming to sit beside her. But this Sunday, after the service ended, he approached with that familiar hat in hand's gesture. "Miss Everhart, I know you have been thinking about my invitation. Today is the perfect day for it if you are interested. Clear skies, not too hot. I could have you back before supper." Deanna took a breath, feeling as if she stood on the edge of a cliff. Every instinct screamed at her to refuse, to stay safe, to keep her distance. But Martha's words echoed in her mind. "Being alive is not the same as living." "All right," she said quietly. "I would like to see this sunset spot." Cole's face lit up with such genuine pleasure that Diana felt warmth bloom in her chest. "Really? That is wonderful. I have my wagon here. It is not fancy, but it is clean and well sprung." The ride out of town took them north along a rough track that followed the curve of the river. Cole kept up a steady stream of conversation, pointing out landmarks, telling stories about the area's history. He talked about his ranch, about the 20 horses he was raising, about his dreams of building the herd into something substantial. "My father started the ranch 15 years ago," Cole explained, his hands steady on the reins. "He was a cavalry officer who fell in love with this territory. When he retired, he bought land and started breeding horses for the army and for ranchers who needed good working stock. He was just starting to make a real go of it when he had a riding accident, broke his back. He lived for 2 months after, but Cole's voice caught slightly. It was hard watching him fade like that. I am sorry, Deanna said softly and meant it. He was a good man. Taught me everything about horses, about running an honest business. I try to live up to his example. Cole glanced at her. Do you have family back east? Deanna stiffened. No, no family. Cole heard the finality in her tone and nodded. Sorry, I do not mean to pry. They rode in silence for a while, but it was not uncomfortable. The desert landscape rolled past, stark and beautiful in its harshness. Deanna had never seen anything like it, so different from the green hills of Pennsylvania. Here, everything was exposed, nowhere to hide, and yet she felt safer than she had in years. Cole pulled the wagon to a stop near the river, where the canyon walls rose high on either side, striped in layers of red, orange, and cream-colored stone. He helped Deanna down, his hand firm but brief on her arm, and led her to a flat rock that overlooked the water. We have about an hour until the sun hits the right angle, Cole said, sitting a respectful distance from her. But even now, it is something special. Deanna had to agree. The river flowed deep and green below them, and the silence was profound, broken only by the water's murmur and the occasional cry of a bird. She felt something inside her begin to unclench, some tightly wound spring of fear and vigilance beginning to loosen. Why did you invite me here? She asked suddenly. You do not know anything about me. Cole considered the question seriously. Because you look like someone who forgot what peace feels like, and this place has always given me peace. I thought maybe it could do the same for you. You are very perceptive for someone who claims to be better with horses than people. He laughed. Horses taught me to pay attention. A horse will tell you everything you need to know if you watch and listen. People are not so different, really. You carry yourself like someone ready to run at any moment. Your eyes are always checking exits. You flinch when people move too fast near you. His voice was gentle, not accusing. Someone hurt you. Someone made you afraid. And I thought maybe a place like this could remind you that the world is not all threat and danger. Diana's throat tightened. You should not want to get involved with someone like me. I am trouble, Cole. Are you running from the law? No. Did you hurt someone who did not deserve it? No. Then I do not see the trouble. He turned to face her fully. Listen, Deanna, I am not asking for anything from you. I am not trying to court you or trick you into something. I just thought you could use a friend. And if that is all we ever are, friends who occasionally watch sunsets together, that would be enough. Deanna studied his face, searching again for deception, for the hidden angle, but Cole's expression was open, honest, patient. I do not know if I can trust that, she whispered. I know. And that is fine. Trust is earned, not given. I am willing to wait. They sat together as the sun began its descent, painting the canyon walls in progressively deeper shades of crimson and gold. Cole pointed out the way the light changed the rock face, how shadows carved new shapes into familiar formations. He talked about the geology, about the ancient seas that had once covered this land, about the patient work of water cutting through stone. Deanna found herself relaxing despite her reservations, drawn in by his enthusiasm and knowledge. When she asked questions, he answered thoughtfully, never condescending, never making her feel foolish for not knowing. When she fell silent, he did not push her to fill the quiet. As the sun touched the horizon, the canyon walls blazed with color so intense it looked unreal. Deanna gasped, unable to find words for the beauty of it. Cole smiled, pleased by her reaction. Worth the trip? He asked. Yes, Deanna breathed. Oh, yes. They watched until the colors faded to purple and the first stars appeared in the darkening sky. On the ride back to town, Deanna felt different somehow, as if something inside her had shifted. The fear was still there, the vigilance, the memories of Thomas's hands and voice. But underneath it, for the first time in years, was a tiny seed of hope. Over the following weeks, the sunset trips became a regular occurrence. Every Sunday after church, weather permitting, Cole would ask if Deanna wanted to see the canyon, and increasingly often she said yes. He showed her different spots along the river, taught her to identify the tracks of desert animals, pointed out the subtle changes as autumn slowly came to the high desert. Deanna began to talk more, sharing carefully edited stories of her childhood in Pennsylvania, of her love of books, of her dreams of one day having a home of her own. She did not speak of Thomas, of Philadelphia, of the reasons she had fled. But Cole never pressed, and his patience was a gift she had not expected. In October, a cold snap hit the region, and Deanna arrived at the store one morning to find Cole waiting with a heavy wool coat draped over his arm. "Winter comes hard here," he said without preamble. "I noticed your coat is too thin for Nevada cold. This was my mother's. She passed when I was 12, but my father kept her things. I think she would like knowing it was keeping someone warm." Deanna stared at the coat, overwhelmed by the gesture's generosity. "Cole, I cannot accept this. It is too much. It is just sitting in a trunk doing nobody any good. Please, Deanna, let me do this one thing." The coat fit perfectly, and Deanna wore it every day as the temperatures dropped. Each time she pulled it around herself, she thought of Cole's quiet kindness, of the mother she had never known who had left behind this tangible warmth. One evening in late October, Martha invited Deanna to have dinner at her home, a rare honor. Over stew and fresh bread, Martha's husband Robert finally spoke more than 3 words in Deanna's presence. "Cole has been different since you came to town," Robert said in his gruff way. "Smiles more, seems lighter somehow. Whatever you are doing, it is good for him." Deanna flushed. "We are just friends," Martha snorted. "Honey, that boy looks at you like you hung the moon, and do not think we have not noticed how you light up when he walks in the door." She held up a hand to forestall Deanna's protest. "I am not pushing. Lord knows you have your reasons for being cautious. But Cole Mitchell is as good as they come. If you decide you want more than friendship, you would not be making a mistake." That night, lying in her boarding house room, Deanna allowed herself to examine her feelings honestly. She was falling for Cole. Had been falling for weeks, probably since that first sunset in the canyon. His kindness, his patience, his complete lack of pressure or manipulation had slowly dismantled her defenses. She looked forward to seeing him with an anticipation that was both thrilling and terrifying. His smile made her heart race. His voice soothed something raw inside her, but with the realization came fear. What if Thomas found her? What if her past caught up and dragged Cole into danger? What if she let herself love again and it turned rotten like before? The next Sunday, as they sat watching the canyon colors shift and change, Diana made a decision. She could not give Cole everything, not yet, but she could give him truth. "His name was Thomas Whitmore," she said quietly, staring at the river below. "He was the son of the family I worked for in Philadelphia. I was a governess to his younger sister. He said he loved me. He said he would marry me, that we would build a life together." Cole was silent beside her, but she could feel his attention, his care. "It took me 6 months to realize he had no intention of marrying me. He just wanted to own me. When I tried to end things, he became violent. He said I belonged to him, that he would never let me go. He locked me in my room, told the family I was ill. I finally escaped with help from the kitchen staff, but Thomas swore he would find me. He has money and connections if he tracks me here." Her voice broke. Cole was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, voice steady and certain, "He would have to go through me first." And I promise you, Deanna, that would not go well for him. Deanna turned to look at him. You do not understand. He is powerful, he has resources. And this is Nevada. Money and Philadelphia connections mean a lot less out here than they do back east. Out here, a man is judged by his character, not his bank account. Cole's jaw was set, his eyes hard in a way Deanna had never seen. You are not alone anymore, Deanna. You have Martha and Robert. You have Mrs. Chen and half the town by now, and you have me. Anyone who wants to hurt you will have to come through all of us. Tears spilled down Deanna's cheeks before she could stop them. Cole carefully, tentatively, reached out and took her hand. His palm was calloused from ranch work, warm and solid and real. I have been falling in love with you, he said softly. Probably since that first day in the back room of the store. I know you are not ready to hear that, and that is all right. I will wait. But I want you to know that you are safe with me. I will never hurt you, never control you, never try to own you. If all you ever want is friendship, I will accept that. But if someday you want more, I am here. Deanna squeezed his hand, unable to speak past the emotion clogging her throat. They sat together as darkness fell, hands linked, and for the first time since fleeing Philadelphia, Deanna let herself imagine a future that included love. November brought colder weather and shorter days. Deanna continued her work at the general store, but increasingly her thoughts turned to Cole. He kept his word about not pressuring her, but the foundation of trust between them grew stronger. When he invited her to visit his ranch, she agreed without hesitation. The ranch was modest but well-maintained, with a sturdy house, a large barn, and several paddocks filled with beautiful horses. Cole introduced her to each animal by name, explaining their bloodlines and personalities with obvious affection. Deanna watched him work with a young stallion, his movements confident and gentle, and felt her heart swell with something she was finally ready to name as love. You have built something good here, she said as they sat on his porch, drinking coffee as the sun set. I am trying. It is hard work doing it alone, but I am stubborn. He glanced at her. Though I keep imagining what it would be like to not be alone, to have someone to share it with. Deanna set down her cup, heart pounding. Cole, I need you to understand something. I am damaged. What Thomas did, the fear he planted, it does not just disappear. I have nightmares. Sometimes I flinch for no reason. I do not know if I can be what you deserve. Cole turned to face her fully. You are not damaged, Deanna. You are healing. There is a difference, and I am not looking for perfection. I am looking for you exactly as you are. I am falling in love with you too, she whispered. It terrifies me. Love is supposed to be a little terrifying. He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away, and cupped her face gently. Can I kiss you? The fact that he asked, that he waited for permission, made Deanna's answer easy. Yes. The kiss was soft and sweet, nothing demanding or aggressive about it. Cole kissed her like she was precious, like she mattered, like her yes was a gift to be honored. When they pulled apart, Deanna was crying again, but this time from joy rather than pain. I do not want to rush you, Cole said, his thumb gently wiping away her tears. We can take this as slow as you need. I just want to be with you in whatever way you are comfortable with. Can we try? Deanna asked. Can we see if I can do this, be in a relationship without the fear swallowing me whole? We can try anything you want, Cole promised. And if it gets too hard, if the fear is too much, we will figure it out together. They spent the rest of the evening talking about what a courtship between them might look like. Cole was patient with her need for clearly defined boundaries, for the reassurance that she could say no or stop or slow down at any time. By the time he drove her back to town, Deanna felt lighter than she had in years. Their courtship unfolded slowly through the winter months. Cole continued his twice-weekly trips to town. But now they included walks through Eldorado Canyon, dinners at the boarding house under Mrs. Chen's watchful eye, and long conversations about everything and nothing. Cole introduced Deanna to his ranch hands, two brothers named Sam and Pete, who welcomed her with friendly respect. Deanna shared more of her past, and Cole listened without judgment, offering comfort when the memories became too heavy. In December, as Christmas approached, Cole gave Deanna a leather-bound journal. "You mentioned loving to read and write. I thought you might like to have a place to put your thoughts." Deanna traced the embossed cover with trembling fingers. "It is beautiful." "I want you to have beautiful things," Cole said simply. "You deserve beauty and kindness and all the good things you have been denied." Christmas Day, Martha and Robert invited both Cole and Deanna to their home for dinner, along with several other townspeople. It was a warm, boisterous affair, full of laughter and good food. Deanna watched Cole interact with the community, saw how respected he was, how genuinely kind to everyone. Children climbed on him demanding stories. Older folks sought his advice. He belonged here in a way Deanna envied and admired. As the evening wound down, Cole walked Deanna back to the boarding house through the cold desert night. The stars were impossibly bright, scattered across the black sky like diamonds. "I have been thinking," Cole said, his breath fogging in the cold air. "In the spring, I want to expand the ranch. Build an addition onto the house. Maybe add some fruit trees, start a real garden." He paused, then continued carefully. "I would like to know if that is something you might be interested in, being part of, someday." Deanna stopped walking, her heart hammering. "Cole, are you asking what I think you are asking?" "Not yet," he said quickly. "I am not proposing. I know it is too soon, that you need more time, but I want you to know my intentions. I am courting you with the hope of marriage. If that is not what you want, tell me now and we will adjust expectations." Diana looked at this good, patient, honest man who had given her back the ability to hope. "I want that too," she said, voice shaking. "I want a future with you. I am just scared that my past will ruin it." "Then we will face your past together," Cole said firmly. "Whatever comes, Deanna, we will handle it." He kissed her softly, and Diana allowed herself to lean into him, to trust the strength of his arms around her, to believe that maybe, just maybe, she could have this. The new year of 1877 arrived with cold winds and occasional snow. Deanna continued working at the general store, but she spent every spare moment at the ranch with Cole. He taught her to ride, patient with her initial nervousness, celebrating her progress with genuine enthusiasm. She helped him with the ranch accounts, bringing order to his chaotic record-keeping. Together, they planned the spring expansion, drawing sketches of the house addition late into the evening. In February, everything changed. Diana was working alone in the store's back room when a man walked in. He was well-dressed in Eastern style, out of place in the rough mining town, and something about him made Deanna's blood run cold. "I am looking for a woman," the man said to Martha, his voice cultured and cold. Dark hair, about 5 feet 4 inches, educated speech. She would have arrived last summer. Goes by Diana or possibly another name starting with D. Martha's expression went carefully blank. "Lots of women come through Eldorado Canyon. Can you be more specific?" The man pulled out a photograph. "This is her. If you have seen her, there is a substantial reward." Deanna could not see the photograph from where she sat frozen at her desk, but she knew. Thomas had found her, or sent someone to find her. The terror that crashed through her was overwhelming, drowning, absolute. Martha's voice remained steady. "Have not seen her. Try the boarding house or the saloon." "Good day." The man's eyes narrowed. "You are lying." "I am busy. Unless you are here to make a purchase, you need to leave." After the man left, Martha immediately came to the back room. Deanna was shaking so hard she could not stand. "We need to get you to Cole," Martha said urgently. "Right now. Can you walk?" Diana managed a nod, and Martha helped her to her feet. They left through the back door, taking side streets to avoid main thoroughfares. Martha sent her son running ahead to fetch Cole while she got Deanna to the boarding house to pack her belongings. Cole arrived within the hour, his face grim. "Tell me everything." Deanna explained through chattering teeth, the terror making her words stumble and catch. "He will find me. Thomas has money, he has connections. That man is probably just the first. They will question everyone, they will search everywhere." Cole's jaw was set, his eyes hard. "Then we do not give them the chance." "Deanna, do you trust me?" "Yes." "Then pack only what you absolutely need. You are coming to the ranch and you are not leaving until we figure this out." "But that will put you in danger," Deanna protested. "If they find out you are helping me, I do not care." Cole took her hands, his grip firm and grounding. "You are mine to protect now, and I do not give up what is mine. We are going to my ranch, and if anyone tries to take you, they will have to kill me first." Within 2 hours, Diana was installed in Cole's ranch house, her meager belongings in the guest room. Cole called a meeting with Sam and Pete, explaining the situation in blunt terms. "There is a man in town asking questions about Deanna. He was sent by someone from her past who means her harm. If anyone comes to this ranch asking about her, you have not seen her. If they try to search the property, you stop them. Legally if possible, but you stop them. Understood?" Both brothers nodded grimly. "She is under this ranch's protection," Sam said. "No one gets to her." Over the next week, the tension was unbearable. Cole made trips to town to gather information and supplies, always returning with updates. The well-dressed man had questioned people all over Eldorado Canyon, but Martha, Mrs. Chen, and several others had closed ranks, claiming ignorance. Still, the man was persistent, taking a room at the small hotel, continuing his investigation. "He is going to figure it out eventually," Deanna said one evening, pacing Cole's parlor like a caged animal. "Someone will remember seeing me with you. Someone will talk." Cole looked up from where he was cleaning his rifle, his expression calm. "Then we need to make sure you are beyond his reach before that happens." "What do you mean, marry me?" Deanna stopped pacing, staring at him. "What?" Cole set down the rifle and stood, crossing to her. "Marry me, Deanna. Today, tomorrow, as soon as possible. If you are my wife, you have legal protection under my name. If this Thomas or his hired man tries to take you, they will be violating the rights of a married woman and her husband. That is a much more serious crime than anything they could accuse you of." "Cole, that is insane. You cannot marry me just to protect me." "I am not marrying you just to protect you," Cole said, taking her hands. "I am marrying you because I love you and want to spend my life with you. This situation is just moving up my timeline. I was going to propose in the spring when the fruit trees were blooming, but we do not have time for romance right now. We need action." Diana's mind raced. "Even if I agree, who would marry us? The Reverend knows me as Diana Everhart, an unmarried woman. If Thomas's man finds out, there is a justice of the peace in Searchlight about 15 miles from here. He does not know either of us. We tell him we are from a ranch up north, give our names, and he marries us. Legal and binding." Cole's eyes searched hers. "I know this is not the proposal you deserve. I know it is fast and frightening and not remotely romantic. But Deanna, I meant what I said. I want you as my wife, if you will have me." Diana thought of Thomas, of his cruelty and possession. Then she thought of Cole, of his patience and kindness, of the way he made her feel safe and valued and loved. The contrast was so stark it almost made her laugh. "Yes, she whispered. Yes, I will marry you. Cole exhaled sharply and pulled her into his arms, holding her tight. We will leave before dawn tomorrow. Sam and Pete will tell anyone who asks that we went to check on a horse sale in California. By the time we get back, you will be Diana Mitchell, my wife, and under my protection. They left the ranch at 4 in the morning, when the desert was still dark and bitterly cold. The ride to Searchlight took 4 hours, and Deanna spent most of it silent, trying to process the enormity of what they were doing. By mid-morning they stood before Justice of the Peace Harold Frost, a weathered man who asked few questions and required only their names and a $2 fee. Do you, Cole Allen Mitchell, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife? Frost intoned. I do, Cole said, his voice strong and certain. Do you, Deanna Rose Everhart, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband? Deanna looked at Cole, at his steady gaze and the promise in his eyes. I do. Then by the authority vested in me by the state of Nevada, I pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride. Cole leaned in and kissed her gently, and Diana felt the enormity of the moment wash over her. She was married. She had a husband. She was no longer alone. They rode back to Eldorado Canyon in the afternoon light, stopping at the courthouse to file their marriage certificate. Cole purchased a simple gold band from the general store jeweler, sliding it onto Diana's finger with a smile that held both triumph and tenderness. When this is over, he promised, when the danger has passed, I will give you the wedding you deserve. A real celebration with all our friends, but for now this will have to do. Deanna looked at the ring, at the man beside her, and felt tears slide down her cheeks. It is perfect, she whispered. You are perfect. They returned to the ranch as the sun was setting, and Cole carried Deanna over the threshold of what was now their home. Sam and Pete congratulated them with grins and backslaps, clearly pleased by the development despite the circumstances. That night, alone in Cole's bedroom, which was now their bedroom, Diana felt the fear that had been her constant companion begin to recede. She was not Deanna Everhart anymore, governess and victim. She was Diana Mitchell, wife of Cole Mitchell, protected and loved. Cole was patient and gentle with her, asking permission for every touch, every kiss, making sure she felt safe even in the vulnerability of intimacy. Their first night together as husband and wife was tender and sweet, and Deanna fell asleep in Cole's arms feeling, for the first time in years, that she might actually be safe. The confrontation came 3 days later. Thomas's man, who Deanna learned was named Harrison, had finally pieced together enough information to lead him to Cole's ranch. He arrived in the late afternoon with 2 hired guns, demanding to see Deanna. Cole met them in the ranch yard, Sam and Pete flanking him, all 3 men armed. Deanna watched from the house window, her heart in her throat. I have business with a woman who is on your property, Harrison said, his voice cold and clipped. Deanna Everhart. She is wanted for theft by Mr. Thomas Whitmore of Philadelphia. I have authority to apprehend her and return her for trial. You are misinformed, Cole said, his voice calm but hard as stone. There is no Diana Everhart here. My wife's name is Diana Mitchell. We were married 3 days ago in Searchlight. The certificate is on file at the courthouse if you care to verify. Harrison's expression flickered with frustration. That marriage is fraudulent. The woman is a criminal. Show me a warrant, Cole said. Not a letter from some rich man back east, not a private authority. A legal warrant issued by a court with jurisdiction in Nevada. If you have that, I will consider your request. If you do not, you are trespassing on my land and threatening my wife. Harrison's hand moved toward his gun, and instantly Sam and Pete raised their rifles. Cole did not move, but his eyes promised violence if necessary. "You are making a mistake," Harrison said. "Mr. Whitmore is a powerful man. He can cause you significant trouble." "He can try," Cole said. "But this is Nevada, not Philadelphia. Out here, a man's word and his willingness to back it up count for more than money. You and your friends need to leave my property now. If I see you here again without a legal warrant, I will consider it a hostile act and respond accordingly." The standoff lasted several long, tense seconds. Then Harrison wheeled his horse around, his companions following. "Whitmore will hear about this," he called back. "I hope he does," Cole replied. "Tell him Diana is under my protection now. Tell him if he wants to come after her, he will have to face me first." As the three men rode off, Diana ran from the house and into Cole's arms, shaking with relief and residual fear. Cole held her tight, his voice soothing in her ear. "It is all right. You are safe. I will not let anyone take you." That night, Cole sent a telegram to a lawyer friend in Carson City, explaining the situation and requesting legal advice. The response came 2 days later. As a married woman with no outstanding warrants, Diana was under her husband's legal protection. Unless Thomas could produce evidence of an actual crime and convince Nevada authorities to issue an arrest warrant, he had no legal claim on her. "It is over," Cole told Diana, showing her the telegram. "You are my wife. Under Nevada law, Thomas Whitmore has no authority here. Even if he comes himself, even if he brings an army, the law is on our side." Diana read the telegram 3 times before she let herself believe it. "I am really free. You are really free." Cole pulled her close. "You are Diana Mitchell now. You are my wife, my partner, my love. And anyone who wants to change, that will have to go through me first." Over the following weeks, as winter began to soften toward spring, Diana slowly relaxed into her new life. Harrison and his companions left Eldorado Canyon empty-handed. Martha reported that they had gone back to Philadelphia with the news that Diana had married and was legally beyond reach. Whether Thomas would accept that or try something else remained to be seen, but for now, Diana was safe. Being married to Cole was nothing like Diana had imagined marriage could be. He treated her as an equal partner, asking her opinion on ranch decisions, valuing her input on plans and problems. He never raised his voice, never threatened, never tried to control her movements or choices. When she had nightmares about Thomas, he held her and soothed her back to sleep without complaint. When she wanted space, he gave it without question. In March, they began work on the house addition. Cole had hired 2 carpenters from town, and together they built 3 new rooms: a proper office for Diana's bookkeeping work, a library that Cole filled with books ordered from San Francisco, and a nursery for the children they both hoped would come someday. "I want our children to grow up knowing they are loved and safe," Diana said one evening as they painted the nursery walls a soft yellow. "I want them to know what a good marriage looks like." "They will," Cole promised. "Because they will have you as a mother, and you will show them nothing but love and strength." By April, the desert had bloomed into unexpected beauty. Wildflowers carpeted the valleys, and the air smelled of creosote and possibility. Cole took Diana back to the canyon overlook where they had watched their first sunset together, and they sat hand in hand as the sky turned crimson and gold. "Happy?" Cole asked. "Happier than I ever thought possible," Diana admitted. "Sometimes I wake up afraid this is all a dream, that I will find myself back in Philadelphia, trapped and alone." "It is not a dream," Cole said firmly. "This is real. I am real. Our love is real, and it is not going anywhere." In May, Diana realized she was pregnant. The news filled her with joy and terror in equal measure. Cole was ecstatic. immediately becoming overprotective and insisting she should not work so hard. "I am pregnant, not fragile," Deanna laughed, but she was touched by his concern. "Women have been having babies since the beginning of time." "Not my baby," Cole said, his hand gentle on her still flat stomach. "This is precious and miraculous, and I am allowed to be amazed by it." Through the summer, as Diana's belly grew, they prepared for the baby's arrival. Cole built a beautiful cradle from smooth pine, carving horses into the headboard. Martha and the other women in town threw a small celebration, gifting Diana with baby clothes, blankets, and advice. Diana had never felt so supported, so welcomed, so part of a community. The baby came in late January 1878, on a cold night when the stars were sharp as diamonds. The labor was long and difficult, and there were moments when Deanna was certain she would not survive. But Cole never left her side, holding her hand, wiping her forehead, whispering encouragement and love. When their son finally arrived, red-faced and screaming, Cole wept with joy. "He is perfect," he breathed, staring at the tiny face in wonder. "Deanna, he is perfect." They named him James Cole Mitchell after Cole's father. Jamie, as he quickly became known, was a robust, healthy baby with Diana's dark hair and Cole's blue-green eyes. Watching Cole with their son, so gentle and patient and loving, Diana fell even more deeply in love with her husband. The first year of Jamie's life passed in a blur of sleepless nights and exhausted joy. Deanna discovered she loved being a mother, loved watching Jamie grow and change, loved seeing Cole's face light up every time he held his son. The ranch prospered, with Cole's horse breeding operation gaining a reputation for quality throughout Nevada. In the spring of 1879, Diana received a letter forwarded from Philadelphia. She almost did not open it, afraid of what it might contain. But Cole sat beside her, solid and supportive, and she found the courage. The letter was from the cook who had helped her escape, a woman named Mary. It contained news that made Deanna's hands shake. Thomas Whitmore had died in a riding accident 6 months earlier, thrown from his horse and breaking his neck. He had left behind massive debts and a reputation in ruins. Deanna was truly free, not just legally but from any threat of Thomas ever finding her. "It is really over," Deanna whispered, rereading the letter through tears. "He cannot hurt me anymore. He cannot hurt anyone anymore." Cole held her as she cried, tears of relief and release for the fear she had carried for so long. When she finally calmed, he kissed her forehead gently. "You survived him," he said softly. "You escaped him, built a new life, and became stronger than he ever broke you. I am so proud of you, Deanna." With the last shadow of her past finally lifted, Deanna felt lighter than she had since childhood. She threw herself into ranch life with renewed energy, helping Cole with the horses, managing the finances, raising Jamie, and planning for the future. In the summer of 1880, Deanna realized she was pregnant again. This time, the news brought only joy. Their daughter was born in February 1881, a tiny perfect girl with blonde hair and a piercing wail. They named her Sarah Ruth Mitchell, and Jamie, now 3 years old, was fascinated by his baby sister. "I will protect her," Jamie announced solemnly, patting Sarah's tiny hand. "Like Papa protects Mama." Cole grinned at Deanna over their children's heads. He has been paying attention. Life settled into a comfortable rhythm. The ranch continued to grow, with Cole eventually hiring more hands and expanding the horse herd to 50 head. Deanna took over all the business operations, her skill with numbers and organization allowing Cole to focus on what he loved, training horses. Together, they built something substantial, something lasting. Martha and Robert became like family, acting as grandparents to Jamie and Sarah. Sam and Pete married sisters from a nearby ranch and built homes on Cole's land, creating a small community. The house that had once seemed too big for one lonely cowboy now rang with laughter and life. On their 5th wedding anniversary in 1882, Cole took Deanna back to the canyon overlook. The children were home with Sam's wife, and for the first time in months, Deanna and Cole had an evening alone. 5 years, Cole said, his arm around Deanna's shoulders as they watched the sunset paint the rocks red and gold. Sometimes it feels like forever. Sometimes it feels like yesterday. Thank you, Deanna said softly, for giving me safety when I had none. For giving me love when I had forgotten what it felt like. For giving me a family and a home and a future. Thank you for taking a chance on a lonely cowboy who did not know how to talk to people, Cole replied. Thank you for building this life with me, for giving me Jamie and Sarah. For being my partner in everything. Deanna turned to kiss him, and the kiss tasted of love and trust and 5 years of choosing each other every single day. When they pulled apart, she rested her forehead against his. I love you, she said, more than I have words for. I love you too, Cole replied. More than the desert loves the rain, more than the river loves the canyon, more than anything. In 1884, their 3rd child was born, another boy they named Robert Daniel Mitchell, after Martha's husband, and in recognition of all the Reynolds family had done for them. Bobby, as he became known, was a cheerful baby who seemed determined to smile his way through life. As the 1880s progressed, Eldorado Canyon began to change. The mines started to play out and people moved away seeking new opportunities. But Deanna and Cole stayed, their ranch a constant in the shifting landscape. They became pillars of the community, the couple people pointed to when they wanted to believe in true love and second chances. Jamie grew into a responsible boy who loved the horses as much as his father did. Sarah was bright and fierce, already able to read by age 4, demanding stories every night. Bobby toddled around getting into everything, his laughter a constant soundtrack to their days. On quiet evenings after the children were in bed, Deanna and Cole would sit on their porch and watch the stars emerge. Sometimes they talked about the future, about their dreams for the children and the ranch. Sometimes they sat in comfortable silence, content just to be together. Do you ever regret it? Deanna asked one such evening in the summer of 1886. Taking in a frightened woman with secrets and danger following her, Cole turned to look at her, his expression incredulous. Are you insane? You are the best thing that ever happened to me. You gave me love, family, purpose, everything I did not know I was missing. If I could go back to that first day in Martha's store, I would do it all exactly the same. Deanna smiled, tears pricking her eyes. Even after 9 years of marriage, Cole's steadfast love still overwhelmed her sometimes. I love you. I love you too, Cole said, pulling her close, until my last breath and beyond. As the years continued to pass, Deanna watched her children grow with a joy that never faded. Jamie, at age 10 in 1888, was already working alongside his father, showing a natural talent for training horses. Sarah, at 7, was the smartest child in her small school, already talking about becoming a teacher. Bobby, at 4, was the family clown, always ready with a joke or silly face. In 1890, Deanna and Cole celebrated their 13th wedding anniversary. Martha and Robert threw them a party, and what seemed like the entire remaining population of Eldorado Canyon showed up to celebrate. People gave speeches about what the Mitchells meant to the community, about their generosity and kindness, about how their love story gave others hope. I came to Nevada to escape my past, Deanna said when it was her turn to speak, Cole's hand warm in hers. I thought survival was the best I could hope for. But this man beside me showed me that I could have so much more. He gave me safety, yes, but more than that, he gave me partnership. He gave me love without possession, support without control, tenderness without vulnerability being weaponized. He showed me what a good man looks like, what a real marriage should be. And because of him, I got to build not just a future, but a beautiful future. One filled with love and children and purpose and joy. There was not a dry eye in the room, and Cole had to clear his throat several times before he could speak. "Diana is the bravest person I know," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "She faced fear and violence and ran toward hope anyway. She trusted when trust had been shattered. She loved when love had been twisted into something ugly. She took a broken life and built something extraordinary. I am just the lucky cowboy who got to be part of it." They kissed to thunderous applause, and Diana felt the completeness of her life settle around her like a warm blanket. This was what she had dreamed of in those dark days in Philadelphia, trapped and afraid. This love, this family, this community, this home. By 1892, Jamie was 14 and had decided he wanted to follow in his father's footsteps, running the ranch someday. Sarah, at 11, announced she wanted to go to college in San Francisco, become a teacher, and then return to Nevada to open a school. Bobby, at 8, was still figuring out what he wanted to be when he grew up, but was leaning toward becoming a veterinarian. Diana and Cole supported all their children's dreams, encouraging them to reach for whatever made them happy. They had built something solid, something that would continue long after they were gone, a legacy of love and integrity. In the spring of 1893, Diana received another letter from Philadelphia. This one was from Thomas Whitmore's sister, the girl Diana had once been governess to, now a married woman with children of her own. She wrote to thank Diana for the kindness she had shown during her employment, to apologize for her brother's actions, and to express gratitude that Diana had found happiness despite everything. Diana wrote back, sharing stories of her life, her children, her husband. A correspondence began, healing old wounds, proving that not everything from Diana's past had been poisoned by Thomas's cruelty. As Diana approached 40, she marveled at how different her life was from anything she could have imagined. She had a husband who loved her more with each passing year. She had 3 healthy, happy children who knew nothing of fear or violence, only love and security. She had a home that she had built with her own hands and heart. She had friends, community, purpose. Cole, now 43, was still as handsome as the day she met him, though his hair had threads of silver now, and his face bore laugh lines from years of smiling. He still looked at her like she was the most precious thing in his world. He still kissed her goodnight every evening and good morning every dawn. He still made her feel safe and cherished and loved. On Sunday afternoons, they often rode out to the canyon overlook, just the two of them, reliving that first sunset they had watched together all those years ago. It had become their tradition, their way of remembering where they started and appreciating how far they had come. "You remember how terrified I was?" Diana asked on one such afternoon in 1894. "How I was ready to run at any moment." "I remember," Cole said, his arm around her as they watched the familiar display of color across the canyon walls. "I remember thinking I had to be patient, had to let you come to trust in your own time. Best thing I ever did, that patience. I am glad you did not give up on me." "Never even considered it," Cole said firmly. "From the moment I saw you, I knew you were going to be important to me. I just had to wait for you to know it too." By 1895, Jamie was 17 and running much of the ranch's day-to-day operations alongside his father. He had grown into a fine young man, tall and strong like Cole, with his mother's intelligence and compassion. Sarah was 14, already corresponding with several colleges, determined to get the education her mother had never had the opportunity to pursue. Bobby was 11, still cheerful and funny, the heart of the family. Diana, at 41, felt blessed beyond measure. She had survived Thomas Whitmore's cruelty, had crossed half a continent alone and afraid, had rebuilt her life from nothing. Now she had everything that mattered: love, family, home, purpose. The scared governess who had stepped off the stagecoach in Eldorado Canyon 19 years ago would not recognize the confident, happy woman she had become. Cole, at 45, was still the steady, kind, patient man who had offered her hope when she had none. His love had never wavered, never turned manipulative or possessive. He was her partner in every sense, her best friend, her safe harbor, her home. In the summer of 1896, they celebrated their 19th wedding anniversary with a quiet dinner at home, the children having planned the meal themselves as a surprise. As Diana looked around the table at her family, at the faces of the people she loved most in the world, she felt tears of gratitude slide down her cheeks. "Mama, why are you crying?" Bobby asked, concerned. "Because I am happy," Diana said, laughing through her tears. "Because I have you, all of you, and I am so very grateful." Cole reached across the table and took her hand, his eyes saying everything words could not capture. They had built this together, this beautiful life, this loving family, this home where fear had no power and love ruled supreme. As the evening light painted the desert gold through the windows, as her children laughed and talked and teased each other, as her husband's hand held hers warm and solid, Diana thought back to that desperate flight from Philadelphia, to the terror and uncertainty that had driven her west. She had come to escape her past, running from violence and control and the man who wanted to own her. She had found a cowboy with patient eyes and a kind heart, who had seen her fear and offered safety without expecting anything in return. Together, they had built something extraordinary, something that started with trust and grew into a love that sustained them through years and trials and the everyday challenges of life. The years continued to roll forward, bringing change and growth. Jamie married a rancher's daughter from Searchlight in 1898, bringing new life to the ranch. Sarah left for college in San Francisco in 1899, writing home every week with stories of her studies and dreams. Bobby, at 15, had indeed decided to become a veterinarian, already working with the local doctor to learn about treating animals. Diana and Cole became grandparents in 1900 when Jamie and his wife welcomed a son. Holding her first grandchild, Diana marveled at the continuity of life, at how her act of courage all those years ago had led to this. Generations of love, family lines continuing, the future stretching bright and promising. "Your grandfather would be so proud," Diana told the baby, even though he was too young to understand. "He built this ranch with nothing but determination and dreams. Now it will be yours someday, and you will build on what he started." Cole stood beside her, his arm around her shoulders, watching his grandson with soft eyes. "We built it together," he corrected gently. "Everything good in my life I built with you." As Diana entered her late 40s and then her 50s, the years grew sweeter rather than bitter. Her children all found their paths. Jamie running the expanded ranch with skill and dedication, Sarah teaching in a school in Reno but visiting often, Bobby becoming the region's most trusted animal doctor. More grandchildren arrived, filling the ranch house with laughter and chaos and joy. Cole's hair went fully silver, and his movements slowed slightly, but his eyes still lit up when Diana entered a room. They had grown old together, their love deepening with time rather than fading. They still took Sunday rides to the canyon overlook, still held hands on their porch in the evenings, still kissed each other goodnight every single evening. On their 30th wedding anniversary in 1907, their children and grandchildren threw a massive celebration. Friends came from all over Nevada to honor the couple who had become legendary in the region for their enduring love and partnership. Deanna wore a new dress in soft blue, and Cole wore his best suit, and they renewed their vows under the desert sky with their entire family watching. 30 years ago, I married you out of desperation and hope, Deanna said, her hands in Cole's, her voice strong despite the tears streaming down her face. I married you because you offered safety when I had none, because you showed me kindness when I had forgotten what it felt like. But I stayed married to you. I fell deeper in love with you every year, because you are the best man I have ever known. You are my partner, my friend, my love, my home. Thank you for 30 years of choosing me. Cole's voice shook as he responded. I married you because I loved you and wanted to protect you. I stayed married to you because every single day you showed me what strength looks like, what courage means, what real love feels like. You took a scared, lonely cowboy and gave him purpose and family and joy. These 30 years have been the greatest gift of my life. They kissed to the cheers and applause of everyone they loved, and the celebration went long into the desert night, full of music and dancing and stories about the couple whose love had started with fear and blossomed into something extraordinary. As Deanna moved into her 60s, her hair silver like Cole's, her hands marked with age but still steady, she sometimes thought back to that terrified young woman on the stagecoach. How afraid she had been, how certain that safety was impossible, that love was a trap, that the future held only survival at best. But she had been wrong. The future had held Cole, had held this ranch, had held children and grandchildren and a love that sustained through decades. She had come to Nevada to escape her past, running from darkness and violence. She had found a cowboy who helped her build not just a future, but a beautiful future, one filled with love and laughter and family and home. On a quiet evening in the spring of 1910, Deanna and Cole sat on their porch watching the sunset paint the distant canyon walls in familiar shades of red and gold. Jamie and his family lived in the newly built house on the north end of the ranch. Sarah was visiting with her husband and children. Bobby was due to arrive tomorrow with his wife. The ranch was full of life and love, exactly as Deanna and Cole had always dreamed it would be. We did it, Deanna said softly, her head resting on Cole's shoulder. We built something beautiful. We did, Cole agreed, his arm tight around her. And it is going to last long after we are gone. Our children, our grandchildren, they are all going to carry forward what we started. Love, integrity, kindness, hard work. That is our legacy. Deanna thought about legacy, about the scared governess who had fled Philadelphia 34 years ago. That woman would be amazed by what her courage had led to, by the life she had built from ashes and fear. She had taken the worst moment of her life and transformed it into the foundation of the best life she could imagine. I love you, Deanna said, the words as powerful now as the first time she had said them all those years ago in the canyon. Thank you for seeing me when I was invisible, for protecting me when I was vulnerable, for loving me when I thought I was unlovable. Thank you for trusting me when trust seemed impossible, Cole replied, kissing the top of her head. Thank you for building this life with me. Thank you for being my wife, my partner, my greatest adventure. They sat together as the stars began to emerge, as they had done thousands of times over their decades together. The desert night wrapped around them, cool and clear and endless. Inside the house, their grandchildren laughed. Down the hill, Lights glowed in Jamie's home. Tomorrow, more family would arrive, and the ranch would ring with love and celebration. Diana closed her eyes, feeling the steady beat of Cole's heart beneath her ear, feeling the peace that came from a life well lived and a love well earned. She had come to Eldorado Canyon with nothing but fear and determination. She had found a cowboy with kind eyes and a patient heart. Together, they had built something that would outlast them both. A family, a legacy, a love story that people would tell for generations. She had escaped her past. She had found her future. And it had been beautiful beyond anything she could have imagined on that hot August day in 1876, when she had stepped off a stagecoach and into the rest of her life. The years that followed were full and rich. Diana and Cole watched their grandchildren grow, some staying to work the ranch, others pursuing their own dreams across the West. They celebrated 50th wedding anniversaries and birthdays and holidays, always surrounded by the family they had created. Cole remained healthy and active well into his 70s, still riding the ranch lands, still working with the horses he loved, still holding Diana's hand every evening as they sat on their porch. Diana's mind stayed sharp, her memories clear, her stories entertaining generations of children who loved to hear about the old days, about how their grandparents had met and fallen in love. In the summer of 1920, on a warm evening much like the one 44 years earlier, when Cole had first invited Diana to watch the sunset, they made one final trip to their canyon overlook. Their children insisted on helping them into the wagon, worried about the rough terrain, but Diana and Cole insisted they could manage. They sat together on the familiar flat rock, watching the canyon walls blaze with color one more time. Diana was 74 now, Cole 77, and they both knew without speaking that this would likely be their last visit to this place that held so many memories. "No regrets?" Cole asked, his voice raspier with age but still warm with love. "Not a single one," Diana said firmly, her hand in his. "You gave me the most beautiful life, Cole Mitchell. You turned my darkest moment into the beginning of something wonderful. I would not change a second of it." "Me neither," Cole said. "Marrying you was the smartest thing I ever did. Every day with you has been a gift." They watched the sunset in comfortable silence, remembering all the sunsets they had shared, all the moments of joy and challenge and love that had filled their years together. When the last light faded and the stars began to emerge, Cole helped Diana back to the wagon, and they rode home slowly through the desert night. Cole passed away peacefully in his sleep in the fall of 1921, Diana beside him holding his hand. He was 78 years old, and he died as he had lived, with dignity, surrounded by love, at peace with the life he had built. Diana grieved but did not break. She had learned long ago that she was stronger than she looked, that she could survive anything. She lived another 5 years, watching her great-grandchildren be born, telling stories of Cole and their life together, ensuring that his legacy and their love story would be remembered. When Diana passed away in the spring of 1926, at the age of 80, she was surrounded by 3 generations of the family she and Cole had created. Her last words were of love for her children, gratitude for the life she had been given, and anticipation of seeing Cole again. They buried her beside Cole on a hill overlooking the ranch, with a view of the canyon where they had watched so many sunsets together. The headstone reads simply, "Diana Mitchell, 1852–1926, beloved wife, mother, grandmother she came seeking safety, found love instead Cole Mitchell. 1843–1921, beloved husband, father, grandfather he offered protection, built a family instead the ranch continued for generations. passed down through Jamie's line and Bobby's children who returned to help run it. Sarah's descendants became teachers and professors, spreading knowledge and opportunity throughout the West. The Mitchell name became synonymous with integrity, hard work, and enduring love. And on quiet desert evenings, when the sunset painted the canyon walls red and gold, people would tell the story of Diana and Cole, of the woman who fled across a continent to escape her past, and the cowboy who helped her build a beautiful future. Of how fear transformed into trust, how strangers became partners, how one offer of kindness blossomed into a love that lasted a lifetime and beyond. Their story became legend in Eldorado Canyon and beyond, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, hope exists. That courage can lead to transformation. That love, real love, is patient and kind and builds rather than destroys. That sometimes the most beautiful futures begin in the most desperate circumstances, and that with the right person beside you, you can build anything. Deanna had come to Nevada with nothing but a carpetbag and secrets, running from violence and control. She had found Cole, with his steady eyes and generous heart, who asked for nothing but offered everything. Together, they had built not just a ranch or a family, but a legacy of love that would endure long after they were gone. In the end, Diana had gotten exactly what she needed, though it looked nothing like what she had imagined. She had not just escaped her past. She had transformed it, using it as foundation to build something extraordinary. And the cowboy who had offered her safety that first day had become so much more: partner, love, home, future. It had been beautiful, all of it. Every moment, every year, every challenge and triumph an ordinary day. Deanna Everhart, who became Diana Mitchell, who had started as a victim and became a survivor and finally a woman who thrived, had lived the life she deserved. A life full of love and purpose and family and joy. And in the desert where she had found her new beginning, where she had learned to trust and love again, her story lived on. A testament to courage, to the power of kindness, to the truth that the right person at the right time can change everything. That sometimes running from your past leads you exactly where you were always meant to be. The story of Diana and Cole became more than just their own. It became hope for anyone who had ever been afraid, who had ever fled darkness seeking light, who had ever wondered if love could be safe and kind and real. Their life together proved it could be all those things and more. And so their legacy continued, carried forward in the hearts and lives of everyone who heard their story, everyone who learned from their example, everyone who looked at their own challenges and remembered that courage and love could overcome anything. Diana came to escape her past. She found a cowboy who helped her build a beautiful future. And in that building, in that love, in that life they created together, they both found exactly what they had been searching for all along: home.